let's work it out, friends. Okay, let's be smart over here.
Yeah.
So let's buy a 4-unit. We live on one. We rent the 3. We'll stay there for 6 months, and then we move out, and we go buy another one.
She's sitting on
Hi guys, how everybody doing? Welcome for another episode of Let's Keep It Real Now.
How we doing? Jabbie here with AMP Lending, co-host.
Hey, Danielle Bilumbu, DBK Real Estate. Glad you're here. Glad you're... Come, my friend, come sit down at the table because we got to talk today. And the talk about today will be about the difference between...
FHA and conventional. I mean, we're in a slow market right now. Everybody knows the state of the market. Things are moving a little slower with interest rates being as high as they are. So we're looking at FHA. There's a lot of casts that are put on FHA. FHA are for people that need down payment assistance with lower FICO, but that's necessarily not the case.
No, yeah, it's true. I have some doctor that qualify on FHA because the deal looks so much better for them than conventional.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers. And right now with the market that we're in, with everything being inflated, I mean, everybody's looking to save money at the end of the day. That's the main focus. So we're going to look at FHA and look at conventional, look at the differences between the two, and understand that FHA may be a product that you want to look at moving forward.
Okay, so what's the difference? So let's cover the basics.
Mm-hmm.
What's a conventional loan?
Well, conventional loan is a more traditional loan. That's for people that have credit scores that are 640 and above. With conventional, you're going to be looking at a more credit-driven product. So the higher credit score you have, the better interest rate you're able to get with conventional. Also with conventional, there's no upfront mortgage insurance premiums that are tacked on to the loan. And once you have 20% of equity in your property, the MI does roll off on the loan. So that's why you have a lot of people that go conventional. They'll go ahead and put 20% down up front so they can go ahead and knock that MI off. So, conventional is just one of those deals where you spend a lot of money up front. Your down payment is 5% compared to FHA. It's only 3.5%. So you spend a lot of money up front, but at the end game, you're saving more money at the end of the loan.
Okay, so now what's the FHA loan?
Yeah. So FHA loan is more of your governmental loan. That's going to be for more of your first-time home buyers. In this case, with the market the way it is, even if you're not a first-time home buyer, I would advise you to look at the FHA product itself. You're going to have a minimum down payment of 3.5%. You do have an upfront mortgage insurance premium that's rolled into the loan. That's going to be at 1.75% of what the actual loan amount is. And then you also have a mortgage insurance.
So usually it's for the life of the loan, right? If you don't meet the 20% requirement?
Well, even if you do put 20% down with FHA, if you have 20% to put down, you might as well just go conventional because it's going to have MI on it at some time. Now, once you put more than 10% down on FHA, your mortgage insurance will last for no longer than 10 years on FHA.
So for the first-time home buyer, why there's a stigma that people think, oh, I'm a first-time home buyer, it's going to be FHA. But you can still be a first-time home buyer and go conventional.
Yeah, you can still go conventional. It all depends upon your situation and your circumstances. With FHA, the stigma is it's for, lower income people that don't have that much of a savings and reserves that they have to be able to put down on the house for closing costs and down payment. And that's not actually true. You can go FHA, have a 6-figure job, and have the money to put down, and you're just looking to be able to get into the home at a cheaper price. Typically, what I like to tell a lot of my clients, when you do go FHA, you're going to get a lower interest rate. Your mortgage is going to be lower. You can stay in the house for 10 years. Once you get into that house for about 10 years, you can look to refinance and go conventional. And then instead of having that big principal balance that you would when you started the loan, you've already eaten to that principal balance for those 10 years. So you paid that amount down. So when you refinance, You're just going to refinance up into that 10-year point, and now you can take advantage of the actual conventional program, and then you don't have any MI because of the equity that you built, and then with that, you'll have a cheaper mortgage with the conventional product.
Okay, so the only reason why a lot of people think FHA is for low income and stuff like that is just their requirement is less strict than conventional.
Exactly.
That's where it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You can go as low as 580 for some lender. They can work with you, but they usually say they do a manual underwrite.
Manual underwrite for 580 all the way up from 580 to a 600 score. You can do a manual underwrite. For FHA, your minimum FICO score is going to be 620. But with FHA, it's not a credit-driven product. So you can have somebody that has a 620 FICO score and somebody that has a 680, and they get the same interest rate.
Why?
That's just the way that the system's set up. So with it being a governmental loan, they're just trying to give access to everybody to be able to purchase.
Okay.
Versus with conventional, like I stated, it's a more traditional loan. So with those FICO scores, you're going to have different tiers. Somebody that has a 640 and somebody that has a 650, both of them are going to get two different interest rates.
Okay. So for those there, could you I understand that you cannot have two FHA going on at the same time. So let's say you own a house right now and you want to buy another home, and the first home is on FHA, you will have to go conventional.
Well, in some cases, there are some situations where you can have an FHA, two FHA homes, but it's different circumstances. Like, let's say traumatic event with, let's say
Divorce?
No, not necessarily divorce.
Death?
Like death. If you had death, if you
Flood?
had like a flood in
Like
the actual
what happened in
house.
2017?
Exactly.
COVID?
Something like that, or COVID. Things in that manner where there's different circumstances where they would allow you to have both FHA properties, depending upon the situation was out of your control.
So let's say, could you do a FHA on a second home? Let's say, for example, you have a conventional on your primary residence.
Mm-hmm.
You try to buy a beach house in Galveston or Miami.
Mm-hmm. No, so with FHA is going to be primarily for a primary home.
So anything else has to be...
Anything else after your primary homestead, you would have to go conventional.
Oh.
Yeah.
No conventional. Yeah. Come on.
Now, there are situations where if you get a 2-unit property, 2 units or more, you would actually have to live in one of the units. And I have some people that do that. They'll go and get a duplex, live in one side of the property, get it at a 3.5% down payment, and go ahead and rent out that second unit as well.
Could you go up to 4 units? Let's say, for example,
go up to 4 units.
I'm teaching the people out there, they're thinking about doing something like that. Okay. So you buy, let's say, a property who has 4 units. So you live in one of them. It's 4 maximum, right?
4 is maximum. Yeah. 1 or 4 units.
You live in one of them and you rent all 3. Mm-hmm. It can still be FHA.
It can still be FHA as long as you're living on the premises.
And 6 months later, you move out. Is it 6 months or 12 months?
6 months. You're supposed to hold the property.
Okay, so let's work it out, friends. Okay, let be smart over here. Yeah. So let's buy a 4 unit. We live on 1. We rent the 3. We'll stay there for 6 months, and then we move out, and we go buy another one.
She said it, not me.
Yeah, I can say it. I'm a broker. He's a lender. You can't do that.
She said it, not me.
That's a smart way of doing and moving forward, right?
No, most definitely. I mean, you have people that'll go ahead and start their investments that way, and it's less money out of pocket. So you want to be smart when you're making your moves. And like I stated, in this market that we're in, I mean, things are just interest rates are high, everything's high, so. The end game that you're trying to look at is savings, having a lower mortgage. And how can you do that? That'll be by going, FHA.
So how someone, let's say, for example, you do have a client, he has or she has received 2 quotes, FHA and a conventional. Let's say the person has a 680 credit score. How and what are some of the things they need to pay attention to know which loan they should pick for themselves? Because it's not always about the monthly payment, right? There's other things they need to patent. What they should look into?
That's a good question. I mean, when you're looking at it with FHA and conventional, with FHA, your fees are going to be lower up front, so your lender fees are going to be cheaper, which in turn is going to have your closing costs to be cheaper. Versus when you go to conventional, you're going to have more points that you're going to have to pay to get that interest rate. All those things are going to be a part of your actual closing costs itself. So those are the things that you want to do once you look at your CD, and you have a expertise loan officer that you're dealing with that would be able to itemize and go through that CD for you and explain case by case what these charges are and FHA versus conventional, which one would benefit your situation better, because everything is case by case.
Okay, so could you go ahead and then we can put more than the 3.5% down that is required, right?
Yeah, that's just the minimum. So depending upon how much you want to put down to eat up on that principal balance, how much you want your payment to be monthly, that'll go according to how much money you want to put down for your down payment to be able to have that happen.
And how does it work when you have a client who has a down payment assistant on the FHA? And let's say they have a lot of cash in hand. How, first of all, the down payment assistant are income driven, right?
It's income driven. A lot of them are income driven. So depending upon how much income you get, how much income you make, that's how much you're able to get for down payment. Now, there's some situations where if you are trying to get a down payment assistance and you have, let's say, $100,000 in the bank, you have to show that amount when you're getting underwritten. So if they see that amount there, even though your income is low, they could reject the loan.
Oh, the loan or the down payment people
The
can
down
reject?
payment,
Yes.
they can reject the down payment assistance because of the amount of assets that you have. Because, again, it's for low-income people. So with the low income comes a low asset return. So if you have $100,000 sitting in your bank account,
Like, you can buy the house cash.
Yeah, you can buy the house cash. What are you really trying to do? Trying to get down payment assistance.
But there's no more $100,000 home like we used to.
Yeah, those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
It's just like some people calling you, hey, Danielle, I want to buy a house. I want to be in the city. I want 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 2-story. I want everything updated, and I want it for $110,000. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. No, those days are over. But yeah, most definitely do not frown upon FHA. It's one of those things where you can look at that actual product and it can actually save you money. So FHA is definitely a good product.
It is. And on a conventional side, sometimes you see I see some lender advertising like you can put 5% down or 3% down or 0. What are the product and how could you qualify for 0 down or 3% or on the conventional side?
Well, on the conventional side, I've never seen a 0% down. I mean, 0% down would be for VA, which is a governmental loan, and then also for USDA.
Okay.
You can do 100% financing on that. On conventional, I've seen as low as 3%, where you can do a 3% down payment for first-time home buyers. And with that is income driven, depending upon how much your income is in the actual average medium. You can qualify for that 3% down payment.
So I guess when I've seen that 0%, it was probably proper to the lender then.
Yeah, I think that's just something that they put up to just try to get, calls and hits for somebody to inquire about the actual property itself. But 0% conventional, I haven't seen it.
And then when they say the closing costs are a little bit higher on the conventional, what's the main difference on the closing cost side? Why is it so much higher? And when it's higher, how much are we talking about? 10%, 20% more?
I mean, it could be up to, 5%, 10% more versus FHA. And the reason is because of the down payment. You're looking at FHA, the down payment is 3.5 compared to 5%. And then again, the lender costs. You're going to be looking at points that you're trying to get for the actual loan itself. So all those things are tied in. And with that, will make the actual closing costs more.
Okay, but as for the appraisal is still the same amount.
It's still the same. Title fees are still the same. Your escrows are still the same. Everything's the same. The only difference is going to be your down payment and how much you're being charged to get that actual product.
Yeah, and for seller out there, if you do have a property and then the buyer is a FHA, I don't know. Sometimes I see some seller, then I see or I talk to some agent. If it's a multiple situations, they all like, oh no, go with the conventional. Doesn't mean anything as long the person truly qualify and he has all the criteria. FHA or conventional is fine, and some listing agent reject. It depends. Some cases for FHA, for example, if you're a seller, you need to own the house for at least 90 days in order for the house to qualify for FHA.
Yeah.
But some also for FHA, the property condition is very important.
Very important.
For example, one time my client saw a property, she really, really, really liked it, right? The house was cute, very cute. It had flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it was very cute when you got it inside. Oh, you feel like the little house in the prairie. It was cute. Anyway, let's be serious. So it was very cute and stuff. And then we got it inside, but it had Windows AC, right? But they also have an AC system. But the AC system was not working. So the owner put Windows AC. The house could not qualify for FHA, right? Because when you have stuff like that, it needs to be able to function and work.
Exactly.
If the house has AC,
exactly,
central AC unit, it needs to work. If they did not have central AC unit, it was just Windows AC, would I be okay?
Yeah.
But because it didn't, then I was like, oh man.
And with FHA, you have to make sure as a seller that, you know, your listing agent is comping your property right. When you're putting it for sale, you want that sale price to be, you know, around that actual amount that it is, because if it's not, FHA protects the borrower if the property doesn't appraise for the value. Yes,
and also on the if the house doesn't appraise, you cannot waive you cannot waive the appraisal contingency on the FHA. You know, so if they say it's 200,000 and the buyer is a multiple offer, the buyer wants to waive it, you cannot do on the FHA loan.
Yeah,
you cannot. Let me repeat that. You cannot, because sometime last year when we used to have multiple offer, I received offers with buyers on the FHA saying they want to waive it, but we can't move forward with them because it's not allowed. It's on the form. You cannot waive on the FHA. Yeah. And also, when you're a seller and then you place your home on the market and you do have a buyer, and then you the appraisal comes down lower and you don't want to move forward with that buyer, well, guess what? That appraisal will stick for 6 months.
6 months is following the property. They have an FHA case number that's associated with that property, and I don't care if you have another buyer come behind, the FHA case number is going to follow that property. So
only if the buyer is FHA, but if the buyer is conventional,
then it's a different situation.
They will not see it, right?
Yeah. It's only when they have to order another FHA case number, they're going to see that one's already assigned to that property, and because of that, again, it protects the buyer, you know, for them to be able to get their earnest money back if that property doesn't, come to value.
The pool of buyer just shrink all of a sudden. And also it's also difficult to qualify a home for a condo, right? A condo to qualify on an FHA. Especially if the rate, occupancy rate, owner occupancy rate is below what, 50%?
In some 60%? Cases it's 50%, some cases it's 70%. It just depends on the community itself. But you have some that are FHA approved that can go FHA. So, again, with those situations, they're case by case.
Yeah, I've seen some, when I was reading the things like, sometimes the reason why a condominium cannot be approved for FHA is because the HOA do a poor job maintaining some of the reserve amount and maintaining the property in general.
And then the insurance requirements too.
Yeah. So if you are out there, you do have a condo, please be part of your HOA meeting. And please put pressure to the HOA people to do their job. Yeah. Because when it's time for you to resell it and you want to have as many pool of buyer you could, right? You want to have the cash people, you want the conventional people, you want the VA people, you want the FHA people, right? So if the owner occupancy rate is not there, or they don't have the reserve, or just like you say, the insurance, well, all the VA, the FHA, they're gone.
You're only your pull down.
Yeah, you're gonna only deal with a conventional and cash, and then sometimes those condos sit on the market for a very long time. They're nice and stuff, but not everybody want them. So hopefully you learned a lot today.
Well, we thank you again for tuning in. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.